Um, sigmoid curves. Now I get to draw. Have you ever noticed your favorite ball team, sports team, whatever, is at the top of their game and the manager starts changing stuff? Trade some guys away, bring in some new guys, we'll change it, and they're at the top of their game and they start changing things. And you think, what kind of an idiot starts changing things when things are going well? This is an idiot who knows about sigmoid curves and is planning for the future. Everything we do in life follows a kind of a curve. When you start off, you're really excited and things go well. Then it gets hard. It always does. You have to learn something new. You have to make an effort. You have to meet new people or go sell or learn the new language or figure out how to hold your hand on the guitar. Whatever it is, that initial excitement is a pretty small bump, and then you hit this dip. Then things start going well, and there you are. You're on this uphill climb with momentum. Things are going pretty good. But here's what will always happen. At some point, the path you're on is going to fall off the other side. You get to be a really good country guitar player, and then you'll learn about jazz, and your country guitar skills are only going to take you so far if you want to be a jazz musician. You're selling this product or service, and then the need for it goes away, and then it's gone. And so what we have to remember to do in life is draw the curve with an appropriate vertical component, as they say in graphing. So there we have your curve and this thing here, it doesn't slope gradually down. I stopped drawing it there because it stops there, because if you don't do something about, you get your momentum and then life moves on, you don't stop there. You fall back and you start another curve. And the people who never seem to get anywhere in life, they're always struggling. They just have a series of single curves like this for their whole lives. But you're smarter than that, and so is our coach on the football team, because he's here and he's got this momentum, so he starts another curve here. And he's got this tiny little dip, and he uses the momentum he already had, and he starts another curve much farther from the floor with a much smaller dip here. And when this thing drops off, he's already starting the momentum on the next thing he's doing. That's why sports teams are always reinventing themselves. That's why companies are always reinventing themselves, because they know that the thing that they've been doing forever, I'm going to talk in a little bit about the Crane Paper Company, founded in 1801, but actually doing business before that. They used to make paper collars for gentlemen's shirts in the 1900s. That fell off the end here when gentlemen stopped wearing paper collars. But the folks at Crane had another idea. But here's what happens. We get here. Most of us end up over here, realize we've got to start another curve, and even if we start another curve, from here to here, we drop, and you actually end up starting a curve down here. You've lost your momentum. That one fell apart, and now you're over here trying to start a new one. Even if you realize in advance to build on your momentum and start a new curve with a new thing, and it doesn't have to be fundamentally different. I mean, it may literally be that Crane Paper decided to go from linen paper to an all cotton paper or something like that. But you have to, when you're starting this new thing, this area right here, you have to allow the past and the future to exist together in the present. And that's not a real clear place to be. That is, in fact, chaos. It's confusion, because the old thing is still going well. The new thing, any golfers? So you figure out, you're going to work on your chipping a little bit, because you want to land it closer to the green. In fact, you want to chip it into the hole. Who cares about putting? So you start working on your chipping, and all of a sudden your long game is gone. You can drive it into the trees like nobody's business. So all of a sudden you're not focusing on the thing that was great, and it starts to go bad. You're focusing on the thing that's lousy, and it's lousy, and you go through this period where your long game is gone, your chipping is gone, your golf game has just gone in the dumper, and then Psychologically, because it's a psychological game, not a physical game, you hit this point, and your long game comes back because it was never gone. Your brain figures out that short game that you've been working on, and suddenly the old thing and the new thing, instead of existing as the past and the future, they come together right there as the present, and now the old thing and the new thing are both what you wanted. If you need, in a golf game, you don't let go of your long game because you're always going to use your driver. But in business, if you have to let the old thing go now, that's okay because you have the new thing to carry you through. What happens is we get into this area of chaos and confusion. You know, the old thing seemed like it was going pretty good and this new thing sucks. So I'll just go back to the old thing. It's safe and comfortable, and then you fall off and you're starting the curve from here, not there. The Empty Raincoat by Charles Handy. He's written a dozen business books. He talks about the sigmoid curve, the psychological tool that they use, the sigmoid curve, and how knowing that change is inevitable, and instead of fearing it, running from it, hiding from it, embracing it and diving headfirst into it, you can shorten this up, you can get it narrower, you can just shrink that chaos down a lot. It'll never go away because change is chaos, but you can make that change small enough, that chaos space small enough, that it's not a problem anymore. And Handy talks about how change is physical. I mean, if you move from this house to that house, that was a change. Transitions are psychological. You got a new job, you got new friends for the kids at school, you got a different route to the grocery store, you got to find your way through the living room a different way because it's a different living room. So changes we can handle, they're physical, we can see those things. It's the transitions, that stuff there, that's what's difficult. So if we learn to embrace the fact that transition, chaos, scary, dark, and the fact that everyone feels the same way, and that this is not because you're a failure at this new thing, it's because it's how change works, then it's not scary anymore.
Joe, how do you spell sigmoid?
S-I-G-M-O-I-D.
Thank you. How do you sort of determine when you want to make that change or initiate starting that change?
Sooner than you think. While you still have powerful momentum in the old thing, as soon as you don't have to be tinkering with it every day to keep it going, when it's starting to take off on its own and this thing is good and you think, oh, I get to relax for a few minutes, don't. When you think that now you can take it easy, get started on that new curve. Because up until then, this thing needs you in it, pedaling like mad to build up the momentum. Once it's got momentum, then that's when you want to do it. And you will almost never, unless you can see that you're damaging the old thing because it hasn't taken off yet, it's really hard to start the second curve too soon. As soon as this thing looks like it can live a day without you, take that day to start planning your new curve.